Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Friday's masterclass. It's Friday. We made it. Thanks for being here. We're thrilled to have you join us for today's session, Recharging Your Return, with our friend Anna McKay from Parents Pivot. Just a few quick things before we get started. For those of you who are new to the Mom Project, we are a digital talent marketplace and community where you can realize your full professional potential. Through our marketplace, we connect you with job opportunities at family-friendly companies that allow you to thrive both at work and at home. And through our community, we provide you with the support, tools, and resources like today's event that you need to keep moving forward in your career journey. I realized I didn't introduce myself. I'm Katie. I'm on the community team here at the Mom Project and love bringing these things to all of you. Anyway, coming back to today's session, Recharging Your Return. We're excited to have Anna lead this tactical session that's really going to provide you with tools and tips for staying motivated as you navigate your return to work job search. Anna has done a few sessions with us, and we're so happy she's lending her time once again. That we're going to just kind of kick things off with a bit of content in the beginning, and then we're going to leave a lot of time at the end for Q&A. So feel free to drop questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can in real time during today's session. And then, for anybody who either just really loves the session or wants to watch it again or has to drop off early, don't worry, we are going to be sending out an email follow-up to everyone who RSVP'd with not only a recording of the session, but a lot of goodies from Anna about how you can get in touch with her. Without further ado, welcome Anna, and I'm happy to pass the baton along to you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here again with the Mom Project and you, Katie. I've loved working with you guys and doing these presentations for your community. So I'm excited to do one today. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and go ahead and get started. All right. So today we're going to be talking about recharging your return and finding motivation in a return to work that can be really challenging right now for you. And so we'll talk a little bit about, motivation and, what the landscape of motivation is these days and tips for returning. And then, like Katie said, I am so happy to answer any questions, whether it's about motivation or anything else return to paid work, because I'd love to answer those questions. So my name is Anna McKay, and I'm the founder of Parents Pivot and creator of the Thrive Like a Mother group coaching program. So I have been a career coach since 2008. And throughout that time period, I made several moves, a couple of international moves, one to the Philippines, one to Beijing, China, and then one to Houston about 8 years ago. And so throughout that time process, I switched my career from accounting to coaching, and then transitioned my coaching career several times throughout those moves. In addition to those moves, I gave birth to two beautiful daughters, and they were born overseas. And so I had a lot of transitions going on during that time period, lots of starts and stops to my career. So if you're in that position, I understand and I get it. Throughout that time, I also met so many people, and they were mostly women who had paused their career to either move overseas to be with their spouse or partner, or to pause their career to care for children while they were young, or also to care for adults, other parents, or other people in their family. And so I've met these returners and was coaching them kind of on a one-off basis. Sometimes they were friends, and found that they all had similar struggles. They were trying to return to paid work, but were finding it really challenging to do so. So I set up Parents Pivot about 2 years ago in 2019 to dedicate my coaching practice really to people looking to return to paid work and people who are looking to transition careers after parenthood. So Parents Pivot was founded with the mission to help those returners see the value in their skills and help them pivot their career to a professional career that they loved. So we have one-on-one and group coaching. So let's get started with the presentation for today. I want to check in and see who's here. And I know I'm probably not going to be able to see all the chat, so I would love it if Katie, you can help me out. So I want to see who's here. Are you returning to paid work after 1 to 2 years, or are you returning after 2 to 10, or are you returning to paid work after more than 10 years? Or are you just looking to make a career transition, a pivot instead of a return? Or do you just love to support returners and transitioners and here to support people? So tell me, answer in the chat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe Katie can take a look and see where we are getting the most
we have
people.
Some ones coming in.
Awesome.
Some twos after more than 10 years, 1 to 2 years, a lot of number twos. So this 2 to 10.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Good. Well, welcome everybody. And so it sounds like a lot of returners here, and we've got tips for you. So stay tuned. So today we're going to be talking about how kind of the general feeling of motivation at this point, how motivated you're feeling, and then we'll give you tips for staying motivated and then a Q&A. So to check in on a scale of 1 to 5, how are you feeling in your job search today? So 1 is not motivated at all, and 5 is super motivated with lots of energy to keep going. So I want to check in and see where people are feeling today. Katie, let me know.
Yeah, there's a few seconds delay. I saw earlier, like early on in the chat, someone had said they've been looking for a job for 8+ months. So yeah, there's some people that have been at it for a while.
Yeah.
But let's see what else.
Yeah, and you know, that's really normal. The standard time is about 8 months to find a job, and if you have a career pause, it can take longer. So I know it's a long process.
We have a lot of 3s, 2s, 1. We really have people all over the board in terms of the motivation level. So
yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, hopefully we'll share some tips with you guys today, and you can be a little bit more motivated after this call. All right. So if you've said any of the following to yourself, like, I don't know what I want to do when I return to paid work, but I know I don't want to do what I did pre-pause, or my job search keeps getting derailed because I keep getting distracted by other things. How do I stay focused and motivated? I know I need a resume, but I go to put one together and then I get stuck. Help. I feel like I could do any number of things, but I don't know which one to choose. So these are all statements that my clients have said to me. And so I know that they may be statements that you are feeling as well. So some motivation derailers, a lack of clarity around what you want to do is a huge one. So if you're feeling that, it's understandable. A lack of connection to others. And of course, with the pandemic, that many of us have been feeling that way. An extended job search where you feel like you don't see any progress, or an extended job search during a pandemic. And some of you all may have seen Adam Grant's TED Talk recently on languishing. This is kind of a feeling that most of us are feeling this way these days, that it's tough. It's tough to stay motivated, and it's tough to keep going. So now I want to share some tips about how we can stay motivated. So these are the 5 M's to motivate. So we'll be talking today about having a clear mission and vision about what you want to do, meaning and attaching meaning to your job search and where you're headed, how to manage your energy, and how to measure your progress. And then finally, we'll talk about mamas. So for a clear mission and vision, this is critical to staying motivated and finding what's next for you. There have been several studies done showing that without a clear vision, you're way less likely to meet any goal that you set for yourself. So clarify what you want to do when you return to paid work. So your mission in this job search is to land a job, but let's get a little bit more specific about that. What kind of job do you want to work in when you return? what's important about that position to you, and what does meaningful work mean to you. So many of my clients come to me and they say, I want to return to meaningful work. Well, getting a little bit clearer about what's meaningful for you is really important. So think through, and I love to encourage my clients to write down their needs, their wants, and their don't wants in their next position. So get really clear on that to help you understand and get clear about what job you want to land. And then when you get a little bit closer to what that job looks like, create that vision, clarify your ideal job, and then visualize yourself in that role doing the work. So get a clear mission and vision. Next is meaning. So what is your why for returning to paid work? So think through, why is it important for you to return to paid work? What's meaningful about that for you? Ask yourself a couple of these questions. What becomes possible when you return to paid work? And think about that from the perspective of you, of your family, and of your community. What becomes possible for you in your return? What becomes possible for your family? What becomes possible for your community? And I love to hear the answers to these questions, because a lot of times, when my clients answer what becomes possible for them, they will feel a sense of being able to contribute financially to their family, of being strong and independent and doing work that they love and that they know is having an impact. And what becomes possible for your family. Some of the answers that I hear are things like being able to financially support my family, being able to do the things that we want to do, being able to live the life that we want to live. And for your community, what kind of impact will you landing the job that you love have on your community?
Yeah, we've got some answers coming in, just paying the mortgage, independence. See what else comes through.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And keep those in mind, because that can really help go a long way for helping you stay motivated in your return and the job search. So how will the work that you do make a difference and create an impact? So think through this, and keep this list close to you. And next is to create a visual representation of this to keep in your workspace. So I want to show you mine. This is a picture that my daughter created in 2019. It was the same year that I founded Parents Pivot. She was in second grade, and all the second graders had to do this for Mother's Day. So she created this cover of People magazine and why her mother should be on the cover of People magazine. And then inside it, she wrote about why I should be on the cover of People magazine. And what she said was really, really just touching for me. And it was that she was so excited to see her mom start a company and be really brave and courageous and show perseverance. And some of those are her words from school. Some of those are the words that they talk about at school a lot. But it just made me really proud. And it made me see that, when I'm going out there and working and doing great things and helping other people get back to paid work, that my daughter sees that, and that I want her to be able to see that. I want her to be able to see that it's possible for you to do work that you love and to be able to help other people do work that they love. And so, so that's really part of my mission. And so I keep this in my office to remind me of the work that I'm doing.
That is awesome. In the chat, I want to say there's some good ones coming through. Someone's
okay,
like,
great.
To tackle my career goals that I put on hold. Add to financial support, but also fulfillment and purpose. This is just so many different ways. Someone said investing and kind of giving back that way, like just being independent. So there's just a lot of good answers, and it's so great to see all the various avenues that people are thinking about this.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I would definitely encourage each of you to create some kind of visualization to represent what it is that you're meaning, and keep that really close by so that you can take a look every time you get a little bit distracted. So the next piece is to manage your energy. And this is really critical. I mentioned earlier that there's kind of this general situation going on with the pandemic of people feeling really burned out and needing to kind of manage their own energy. So companies are implementing quiet time or hours that are uninterrupted. You can't schedule meetings or call people to increase productivity. So how could you do this for yourself? And I know so many of us have lots of little kids running around, but how could you do this for yourself? Like what kind of systems could you put in place? Who could you lean on to help you? Could you trade babysitting responsibilities with a friend, and manage your energy? Make sure you do reserve that kind of quiet time for you to really have some focus on your job search. Next, notice when and where you do your best work. So create a space for your job search. And then if you notice yourself kind of getting stuck, get up and move your location. Going outside can also be a really great refresher. Noticing what energizes you in terms of building in some reflection time for meditation, or is it movement, taking like a 10-minute short movement break and then coming back to your job search process. So for me, I get energized by doing talks like this and connecting with returners who are looking to go back and seeing them get motivated and seeing them get excited in their job search again, and kind of reignite those things. So next, notice the optimal time of day that you, an amount of time that you want to spend on your job search. So if you're a first thing in the morning or later at night, oftentimes when I'm coaching people and they're struggling to stay motivated, it's focusing on just doing short, like 10-minute increments, or having a longer increment if that's what you're prepared for. So setting a timer can really help you judge that and just cut out all the distractions just for that limited amount of time. So many of us work better when we have a deadline. So setting some of those for yourself as well. And then measuring your progress. So setting your goals, writing it down. We all know those statistics. I think it's like 40% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down. But also, it's important to reflect on what you've accomplished. So many times we judge ourselves in the job search process by, did we get an interview? Did we get a call back? But there's so many different smaller things that you're doing along the way that are helping you in the grand scheme of things. So taking a look at what you've accomplished, what you've changed about your resume, what you've changed about your job search, the little things that you've learned about yourself or learned about the process, learned about what you want to do, reflect on what you've accomplished. And take those small steps. When you're really struggling, just taking the next small step is so critical. So inch by inch, it's a cinch. That's what my mom likes to say. So I'm sharing that with you guys. So measure your progress and celebrate your wins. I want to know from you guys, how do you all celebrate your wins? It's so important to celebrate even the smallest win. So small and big wins. How could you, or how do you celebrate your wins?
Love that question. I love even like the smallest bit of progress, it's worth celebrating, right?
Exactly.
I love that inch by inch. It's a cinch. It's true. Like keep building your progress up. I don't know. For me personally, I just take a minute. Sometimes just go, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get that iced coffee I've been waiting on all day as a little celebration break. So
I love it. That's great. That's great.
Oh, somebody said chocolate. I feel that big time. Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. I love chocolate too. Yeah. So that's great. So, and it can be small. It can be giving yourself a break and going outside and getting a walk. It can be working hard all week to then have like a chat with a friend on a weekend, or getting that iced coffee or chocolate, buying that extra yummy chocolate bar instead of just the regular one. So yes, it's really important to celebrate those successes, because a lot of times if we don't celebrate them, we don't acknowledge that they're there, but that's really key and critical. So the next thing you need is mamas. So you need a community for motivation, accountability, and to go farther faster. So this is a picture of the Thrive group from part of the Thrive group for one of the sessions. And it's just so amazing how much motivation everybody can get from each other. When you're in a group, you're feeding off of each other and you're seeing other people try things that you might be reluctant to try, and you get energized and you get braver to go out there and do those things too. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Thrive program. So the Thrive Like a Mother group coaching program addresses all of the challenges that returners face at a deeper level. So we'll help you find clarity around what you want to do for paid work, help you navigate the job search process with clarity. So many times my clients come to me and they're like, oh my goodness, the job search process has changed so much since the last time I looked. I don't even know where to start. How do I do a resume, LinkedIn? How do I prepare for an interview, salary negotiation? And then also to help you build confidence in the value that you bring in a community of other returners with similar goals and struggles, and coached by our Thrive team at Parents Pivot to hold you accountable and expertly guide you. These coaches that I've picked to be on the Thrive team are returners themselves. They've been through the process. They know what it's like. They've been trained in the Thrive framework for returning to paid work, and they are experts in that framework and can help you along the way. So registration closes on September 29th, and the group sessions are October 6th through December 8th on Wednesdays at that time. So the Thrive group coaching program includes one-on-one coaching session with your Thrive coach to help you kind of set goals for the program, check in to see where you are. We'll also go through an assessment that's unique to you and go through your results. There are 9 live virtual group coaching sessions, so you can join from anywhere, full of tips and coaching. There are 8 workbooks with example cover letters, resumes, networking, outreach emails, clarity and confidence activities, tips, and more. There's the Cultivating Career Confidence digital course that I've created with 7 confidence building strategies. So you can take the course at your own pace, and then we talk about it throughout the program. And then you will get feedback specific to your elevator pitch, your resume, your LinkedIn, your interview stories from your Thrive coach, who, like I said, has been trained in the methodology and knows what she's talking about. It'll help you build your network. And we know that this is one of the best ways to find a job. We also will help you support, you'll get support from other team members, other people in your cohort, and the Thrive team for motivation and accountability. And then I'm offering a bonus to anybody who wants to sign up before tomorrow evening. You will get an extra one-on-one session throughout the program. So you get the one-on-one session already at the beginning, but this next session can be in the middle of the program at a time that works for you and your coach. So if you're wanting to forego that bonus and set up some time to talk early next week, I'd love to do that as well. And I will give a link to sign up for a 20-minute coaching session with me next week. I want to share a story about somebody who went through the Thrive program recently. I've changed her name, but she was a stay-at-home parent for 21 years and felt like she had been out of the workforce for so long. I actually met her through the Mom Project the first time that I did that program with you guys. And she was a consultant for a tech company, and she has her BA. She held several significant volunteer roles, including leading more than 300 volunteers at her school, organizing and implementing a busing system in her neighborhood for more than 30 families. So before she was in the Thrive program, she was not focused, she was not clear. Like I said, I met her in that the first time I ever worked with the Mom Project, and that was over a year ago. A year afterwards, which was about 6 months ago at this point, she called me. She came to the next Mom Project event that I did, and she was like, okay, I think I need to sign up for Thrive. I've been doing this on my own for a year and it's not worked. So I'm ready to sign up for Thrive. So she did. And 2 months after Thrive, she became a client relationship manager, and just was so excited to return to paid work and use her professional skills again. And so I think part of the thing that she really got out of the program was that motivation, that accountability, all the tips and everything that we shared, the clarity building exercises and confidence building exercises as well. So she implements systems, and she also had really excellent relationship management skills. And so I think highlighting those in her resume and LinkedIn and in her interview stories really helped her land that role. So if you are here, this is one of my favorite quotes. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. I feel like so many times we can get caught up and focus on the negative, but when we reflect and focus on what's good about what we're doing, and celebrate those wins, then that will help you stay motivated in your job search. So let's get to the questions. And like I said, any questions I'm happy to answer about motivation, or I know, Katie, you've got a couple about other things too.
Yeah. Well, one quick question. I know, and anybody who RSVP'd, there'll be links to get in touch, but people are just asking generally the cost for the Thrive coaching.
Okay. Yes. So the Thrive group program, it's $997, and that includes those 9 group coaching sessions, the one-on-one, the additional one-on-one if you sign up before tomorrow, and the digital course, all the workbooks, all the examples, everything. And it's always an excellent group. The cohorts that we've had in the past have been, some of them still stay in touch, some of them still keep in touch with each other and check in once they've landed. It's really a great way to build your network. And then the Thrive coaches that we've trained through the program just have the answers, and they're in touch with me all the time. So I'm always happy to answer any questions through them. And then we all share our networks, the Thrive coaches and myself. I'm always happy to put people in touch with other people that I know when they're going through the Thrive program, if I think they can have some beneficial relationships. So yeah. And it's a really great deal. It's actually less than the cost of a therapy session or a coaching or a one-on-one coaching session. So
amazing. All right. Well, cool. So we'll pivot to the question. So yes. If you don't, keep them coming in the chat because we'll get them all off to Anna. But I guess just to start, so I know a lot of this is for kind of, staying motivated, but like how, if someone just like kind of blocked to start, do you have any tips for like, you're just thinking about like, okay, I want to make a return to paid work. But like, I don't know, what's the first thing someone should focus on in order to get past that initial hump?
Yes, definitely. So I know a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I need a resume. And they don't have clarity yet. So if you don't have clarity yet, you need a resume, you get stuck. So what I like to encourage people to do is to think back and reflect on the choices that you made around how you spent your time during your career pause. So one of the things that I like to think about is my mom, when we were growing up, she stayed at home for a period of time and then returned to paid work. And she loved cooking. She was, when we would have people over, it was always, the gatherings were always centered around food. The party always started in the kitchen. She loves to cook. My dad would tell stories about how she would bring cookbooks with her on vacation for leisure reading. She really loved to cook. And so at the point in her life where she was thinking about going back to work, she evaluated what she loved to do and she became a caterer. And she was one of the best caterers in our city and loved the work that she did. And so she was also able to integrate work and life in a way that worked well for her and our family. And, caterers often work crazy hours, but for her, it really worked well. And she was doing something that she loved. And I want to help other women do what she did and do what I'm doing work that you love, work that you connect with, work that's meaningful for you, and being that kind of role model for your family.
Awesome. Okay, so question that just came in, I think this is a good one. I've seen that functional resumes can be good for someone out of the workforce for a while. Is this true? Should I change my traditional resume to a functional one?
I like the traditional resume, but I do think it's important to keep your experience and to put something in that recent experience box because of the automatic tracking systems that do check for recent paid work experience. But you can put unpaid work experience in your recent experience section. I like that better than the functional resume just because it's a resume style that people are more used to seeing, and it can feel like maybe you're trying to hide a career pause. But a lot of times, I really encourage my clients to find the power in their pause, as the Mom Project likes to say, and talk about that pause and showcase the strengths and skills that you've acquired during that pause. So I think that being able to highlight that in your resume, in the experience section, and having, if your career pause is your most recent experience, or if there's some other project work, you could put that in your most recent experience.
Cool. And then just kind of, I guess this is a twofold question. So someone had asked, specifically, how you can talk about those experiences. Do you hear from employers that like what they express they're looking for in terms of transferable parenting skills? So is there anything specifically, as moms, dads, caregivers, they should be thinking like, this is a valuable skill I need to be putting in my most recent section?
Yes. So there are tons of skills that you have as a parent that are transferable. There are tons of skills that you have just because you're a parent or a caregiver, and there are tons of skills that you may have acquired during unpaid work and volunteer work. And so I think, it depends on every person, every individual, what your skills are. So I'd have to kind of talk to you to get a little bit more specific, but I've created a acronym that I say returners have depth. And so depth stands for a specific character trait or skill that I think most of the returners that I've worked with have. So D stands for drive and determination. And many of my clients have expressed this drive and determination in their unpaid work or in their parenting. And so thinking through how you may have expressed that, and then transfer that to your resume and create that, and help employers see how that could be beneficial for them is really critical. So D stands for drive and determination. E stands for energy. And so anybody who, if you're coming back to paid work, you've got a fresh energy that people who've been continuously working don't necessarily have. So being able to showcase that you have that fresh energy and would bring that to a team is really powerful. The P stands for professionalism, so prior professional experience that many returners have. T stands for thought-provoking questions and innovation. And so we all know, we've seen the studies that show that diversity of thought is critical for a team. And so knowing that you've got a different set of experiences than other people within a team, you may see a situation differently than somebody else. So if you can express how you have been able to bring thought-provoking questions and insight to the various different activities that you've been involved in, and how you might bring that to the team that you're looking to join, that can be really important. And then finally is heart. H stands for heart. And so we all know that as caregivers, we really have an opportunity to demonstrate empathy and to practice empathy. And that is a critical leadership skill. So depth, that's the depth philosophy around that returners have depth, and all of those traits are things that are really valuable in the workplace. So thinking through which resonates for you And then there are a couple other skills as well. I named my company Parents Pivot because I believe that it talks about the agility that parents have. And so as parents, we're often called to multitask and coordinate logistics and do all of those different things, be agile and flexible in our schedule. And so that can be a huge transferable skill as well. So think through what resonates with you, what you feel is a strength for you, and showcase that on your resume.
Awesome. I like that system, that approach. This is a good question. So someone said, I find that there's a struggle between searching for the job you really want when you're also desperate for any employment that will pay you. How do you balance that?
Yeah, and I think it depends on everybody's situation is different and everybody's situation is unique. I think that it depends on a couple of different factors. It depends on how long you've been out of paid work. It depends on what it is that you want to do. I think that I would suggest that you do spend some time to reflect on what you really want to do. And then think about if your next job or the next career move isn't the one that you want forever, think about what you could do or what kind of position you could have to build skills to get to where you want to go. I always want people to be looking down the road and thinking through long term, what's the vision of where I want to get to? If for my situation, I need to take a job right now, what job can I take that will help me build the skills to get to where I want to go eventually? So I think that's really important. I had a client who had an 18-year career pause, and she wasn't exactly sure what she wanted to do. We worked together, and she figured out she wanted to do some project management work, account management work. So she went back and she became an account manager and was really thriving and doing well. She had a lot of organizational skills. She was very good communicator and organizer and project manager. So that was really wonderful for her. She built those skills, and she had developed some recent work experience. And recently she actually just landed a job at Accenture. So, so I think that it's really, it's building skills that will help you get back to where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a great way to think it, like road mapping, like what pieces from this right now role can help you get to that longer term one.
Exactly.
Yeah. We've got a lot of questions coming in about career pivot. So any thoughts you can share about the best way to highlight your skills if you're seeking work in a new industry or like a completely new type of role?
Yes. So I think that the T in depth is also really applicable to career pivoters. So that thought-provoking questions piece. So when you're coming from a different industry, you're bringing a different lens to another industry, which might help somebody solve problems. So thinking through how your experiences can benefit in your next role will be really helpful. I had a client who was in media and wanted to transition to work as an interior designer. And so she, in her role as media, had lots of media connections. And so she said, when she was going to work, she was looking for a job as an interior designer. She highlighted her media experience and was sharing that she could bring some skills around marketing and media relations to any interior designer that she became affiliated with. And so it's using and understanding how what you know and what your skills are might transfer and benefit your employer.
Question that just came in. I seem to be getting close when applying for positions, but not getting selected as the final candidate. Very little feedback as to why I wasn't selected. What should I do to get over this hump?
Yes. Well, congratulations. Good job for you for keep going and keeping at it. So keep doing it. One question that I love to ask in an interview or love to encourage my clients to ask is, as you get to the interview and you've done everything that you've needed, you've understood what they're looking for, and you've identified your past experiences that relate to the job. Next, I would ask them, do you have any questions For me, is there any reason, is there any hesitation that you would have about hiring me? And so that gives you the opportunity right before the final rounds to kind of get an idea about what their hesitations might be, and it gives you an opportunity to address those in your own words so that you can know that you did all that you could do.
Awesome. Okay, next question, and this is a biggie, but we understand ageism can be a problem both for returners or pivoters or just, any job someone's applying for. Any tips on competing perhaps with younger, maybe people more recently out of college or things like that?
Yes. So I think that, when ageism is present, I agree. And in some industries, it is more than others. And I think it's understanding the bias. So no matter what kind of role you're going back into, understanding what the bias is against ageism. And I think, a lot of times people think, there's a perception that if you're older, you might not be as familiar with technology, but that has not been the case with some of the returners that I've worked with. And so they have shown how they've implemented new technologies in unpaid roles that they've done. They've shown how they've kept up with the recent trends in whatever industry that they're looking to return to. And so I always say that employers are only ever worried about three things. And so that's your commitment and your competence and whether you're a cultural add to their group. So whether you would add value to their team. And so the commitment piece is often a bias against returners, but maybe a bias against older returners as well. So addressing that I am here, I am ready to work, being clear about that, and conveying your kind of excitement in your resumes, in your cover letters, talking about that commitment and that excitement is key. Talking about the competence so that you're up to date on trends, that you've reviewed, that you've, you don't have to go back and get a full MBA, but you can show that you've stayed current with trends. I've had clients going back into finance that, still read all the publications that they read when they were professionals. And so thinking through what can you do to show that you've stayed current with your knowledge or that you've rebuilt your knowledge.
And that brings up a good point. There's a lot of questions just asking about how do you know if you should do a certification, upskill, rescale, or maybe for some people it's going back to school altogether, but any advice there of how someone can kind of assess? Because we all know most of the certification programs that are out there are not free, although we should throw a RISE program. The momproject.org has a scholarship program called RISE. It's fully funded. We'll put the link in here. You guys should all check it out. But yeah, just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah. And so we do, in the Thrive program, I'll share some courses that are free, and it depends on what what industry you're going into. But I would not encourage anybody to go and get a full-scale MBA without being clear about what you want to do first. So I think the way to decide whether you need to go and get a certification or not is to take a look at your recent experience. Is there a way that do you have the skills that you need? Are they just not, are you just not thinking about them in a way that these are transferable skills? So that's the first thing I would say. Think through and reflect on the skills that you do have. And then if there is a skills gap, then thinking through ways that you can get that experience. And I think that, it may be through a certification program, it may be through experience, through a project that you can work on to build skills, to help somebody. And there are various resources out there for that we can share as well in the Thrive program.
Awesome. Cool. And I'll make sure I drop the RISE link in here in a second. But another question is, so someone said, I don't have a career pause, but they've had unpaid job pauses, they've done volunteering. So any tips on how to get noticed by recruiters through their resume like any tips on just optimizing your resume? I know you talked about functional versus, more traditional, but any other hot tips for helping your resume bubble up?
Yes, yes. So if you have unpaid work and it's not, you're saying you've been continuously working, but some of these jobs are just unpaid. And so I think, it depends. If you have unpaid work that you've done that's significant, I would always put it on your resume and then highlight the skills that are transferable and related. Of course, making sure that you have all the keywords, and we talk about different ways in Thrive about how to find keywords and how to make sure that you've got the right keywords in your resume. Those are really critical.
Yep, cannot emphasize keywords enough. It's really important. All right, cool. So next question is for, sorry, too many tabs going. So any advice you give moms that maybe haven't reached super high level careers, so maybe just were kind of more entry level before they opted out? And any advice for like potentially re-entering at a higher level that feels more in line with their life experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that it's important to understand, what is it that you want to do? Is the work that you've done, is your role as a parent, as a caregiver, has that lend itself to going back in at a higher level? I've talked to parents who wanting to transition back to paid work in a role where their unpaid experience really has given them the knowledge that they need to go back to paid work at a higher level. So it just depends on what that is for you. I was just talking with somebody the other day, and they were talking about wanting to go back and being an adoption coordinator, and she had that experience herself. She doesn't have any education or certification in that, but she's had that experience herself, and she's gone through the process. She's been the president of various different organizations supporting people going through adoption, and so she has the skills, she has the experience, she knows what she can do, and so she could go into a role supporting families at a higher level than somebody without all of that experience. So it just depends on what you want to do, and how that lines up with the experience that you have as a parent or caregiver.
Awesome. And this kind of it's related, but any ideas, thoughts, tips about handling the question about salary expectations after a career pause? I feel like many people are like, oh, I'll just take whatever because like I'm lucky to be getting a job at all, but would love to hear your pro approach to that.
Yes. And we talk about this in the Thrive program for sure. And so we can give you more tips and tricks there. But what I would like to share is that, thinking through doing your research is critical first. So knowing what the salaries are in your location for the job that you want to return to, seeing what those are, being able to talk to people in those roles who've held the titles, and seeing if anybody will be willing to share their salary ranges with you. So understanding and doing your research around salary is key. So that's the first step. And then there are other things you can do as well, that we share in the Thrive program.
Awesome. I'm looking through the questions, seeing if anything else is coming through in the chat. But this has been great. And I know we kind of jumped around on a lot of different topics, but it's certainly a complex process. And there's like the kind of setup stage and the active stage, and then we kind of make it down the end of the pipe. So we're just grateful. I mean, Anna, this is a pleasure, as all. Oh, somebody wanted to know any good places to look for salary research beyond Glassdoor?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of different websites and a couple of different companies that have salary guides. Salary.com and PayScale are great as well. And then there are a couple of other guides that are more specific, industry specific too. So.
This is an interesting question about an individual who moved to the US from another country. Any particularly with like a pause there, like any tips on kind of putting international experiences on a resume for roles you're looking for in the US?
Oh yeah, I think that that's really important. And I think that you likely got lots of transferable skills from roles you held overseas. And I think being in today's world, being able to demonstrate that you've worked with people in various different countries is a plus. I know, several companies are international and they want somebody with that international experience as well. So, and it's always not like just from living overseas myself and being an expat somewhere, it can be, you can come with a different perspective and you can share that different insight and have a different lens than other people who may not have that international experience. So I think it's excellent to highlight that as well.
Awesome. Okay, this is a good question. I think we have time for a couple more, but so, if you're pivoting and likely have to take a pay cut, how do you get employers to consider you if you were maybe higher up in your last role before you took a pause? I feel like that question comes up a lot. Like, how do you get them to say, like, well, you're overqualified. Why are you applying for this role?
Yes. So I think that a cover letter is really critical for any returner, and addressing things like that, demonstrating that, yes, I have held this other position, but, and that was a higher position, but I really am interested in your position because of X, Y, Z. And I know I will be able to add benefit and value in these ways. And then to talk through it like that. But I think a cover letter is really critical. And if you know anybody in the company, of course, that's always helpful.
Yeah, awesome. All right, this is a good one to sort of wrap up the Q&A portion. Any tips for just maintaining your momentum? The individual said, as a mom, there's a lot of picking up and putting down with kids and other commitments.
It's so true. That's so true. Join Thrive. That's the thing. It is really amazing to see that. I've heard that from so many people who are coming in to the program, who I talk to, who are like, I don't make the time for myself to do it without a structured program. And Thrive is a structured program that will help you carve out that time for yourself, hold you accountable, and keep you going with that momentum. So sign up for Thrive.
Speaking of Thrive, there's a couple questions. People want to understand if, like, with the Thrive program, if they get like a full resume revamp, resume review as part of it. And then there was one other one.
Yes. So as part of the Thrive program, you will have your resume reviewed in the program. And so there will be tips and recommendations to make for your specific resume and for your specific LinkedIn and for your elevator pitch. So we do that in the group sessions a lot of times. And so you get to hear what other people's elevator pitches sound like, what other people have put on their resume, and you get to see how you get feedback on your own resume, but you also get to see how other people are doing it too. So yes.
Awesome. Well, this was great. Thank you, everybody who participated in the chat. Thanks for bringing all the great questions. This was a really, really good session, Anna. This was wonderful. Thanks for sharing so much great advice. Everybody, if you RSVP'd, stay tuned for the follow-up email later this afternoon. That will provide you with the recording so you can watch again. And then also the great stuff from Anna, so you can get in touch with her and sign up for the Thrive program, or just get in touch with her in another way. So that's all we got for today. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And thanks, Anna.
Awesome. Thank you.